Welcome to the Business of Us podcast. We invite app industry professionals to cover various topics. We promise to do our best to keep it both insightful and brief. In this episode, we have Reed Kuhn, Head of Business Strategy at Branch.io. Reed, welcome to the Business of Us podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Terrific. Thank you for coming, Reed. Okay, I'm going to set the stage first before we begin. I think all of you would agree, regardless of your role or area of expertise in the industry, that learning from the mistakes of others saves you time, money, and most importantly, nerve cells. Because let's be honest, trial and error is great until it is your budget on the line. So today we have Reed on the show to help to skip some of those growing pains. He's here to share what's working, what's not, and some fresh, thought provoking approaches to both app marketing and development. Whether you're scaling a product or just getting started, I think you will walk away with a few insights worth stealing, or at least borrowing. Reed, before we dive into today's topic, can you tell me about your background in tech?
Sure. It's actually a little bit more recent because I spent almost 2 decades as a consultant. And I like to say I've done all the consultings. I've done tech consulting, big Accenture type consulting. I've done small boutique strategy consulting, management consulting, private equity. I even was a scientist for the military for a while. That's a totally different type of consulting. So I've done it all, and but switched careers, moved from the East Coast to the West Coast, and on the West Coast there's tech. And I thought, hey, they're just handing out job opportunities off the plane out there. I'll just go out there and say, hey, I'm a former consultant. Please give me a job. It was a little harder than that, but did find my way into tech, and of course found my way in through what was more or less a consulting role. It was actually more in customer success for a SaaS company. And from there went into realized I was specializing in e-commerce and worked at Walmart Labs and then eBay before finding my way to Branch. And so I think that was also a good entrance to tech, but also it allowed me to specialize in places where there were lots of numbers. And that really is my specialty as a consultant. And then, as everybody has to have an interesting side hobby. So mine is professional gambling. And so everything is to do with math. And that's really how I found my way into tech, was making sense of lots of numbers.
Math, the language of the universe, as they say. It works everywhere. I'm gonna mark my calendar. It's the first time on the show when somebody who used to be a consultant as a scientist for military. Now, tell us about Branch.io. What do you guys do?
Yeah, so we are a mobile linking and attribution platform. And we are now expanding even beyond just mobile, really, just to be universally digital. And so we are, I like to say, two sides of the same click. And that means when you interact with a device and you click on something, you're going to get the best possible experience. If you have an app, you go into the app. It doesn't just open the app. A deep link will take you well within the app to directly to content. So the user experience is better. And on the flip side, we're actually able to attribute all of that. We know that this user came from search or from email or from a banner or a QR code. And that's helpful to the brand in order to optimize their own channels and make the most of their own traffic. So are these emails doing what we want them to do? Not just that someone clicks on something, but that they actually buy something within the app or subscribe or use a chat to help them solve a problem instead of calling service. So there's a lot a user can do in an app. We want to make sure that they end up there whenever they can. And then we also want to make sure that the brand and the platform is still measuring it. So as a SaaS platform, we are enabling enterprise level deep linking and attribution. And then we're also really expanding beyond that into every edge case we can find. We're doing link shortening and custom QR codes. We're now offering ads on the native search on devices in some markets. So brands who want to experiment with a very high ROI ad platform can now serve ads on the device itself. So you're searching for a certain food type of delivery, and a brand might decide to serve you an ad to download their app and order it ahead. So that's more on the cutting edge, but really it's anywhere a brand can interact with their consumers digitally, we want to be there to help facilitate that and measure it.
Great. So, attribution wise, you're covering all bases. We used to be living in a world where desktop was the only platform. Now, then came mobile, which completely replaced, for a while, desktop. Now, we're living in a world where finally both worlds, mobile and desktop, equally important. And it's really helpful when you can deliver for your client attribution across these two channels for real and give them the real picture of what's going on with their brand and where they're getting their clients from. All right, zooming into our today's topic. You've seen a lot of different apps and approaches. Have you developed a kind of a guiding principle for what actually delivers value to users?
Yeah, over the years, really, so many of our customers fall into two big buckets, and this is I think the simplest framework that I have for differentiating between apps and what they're trying to achieve in terms of value. And that is, you have commerce apps, which are the most obvious ones. This is your retailers, fashion, even quick serve restaurants, fast food chains, Starbucks, and also the big box retailers, the Best Buys of the world, even department stores like Nordstrom. So those are commerce apps. Users primarily are going in there to shop, and hopefully they actually buy something. And we do know that conversion rates are much higher in apps than on mobile web or even desktop. So those are easy to wrap your head around. The app exists to make it much easier for the user to shop. And in some cases actually get support. If you want to manage a delivery or send something back, you can do that in the app rather than having to call someone up. Now, on the flip side, you have apps that don't really sell you anything, but they still serve a very important purpose to the user. So I call those companion apps, and they're more diverse than commerce apps. So whereas commerce apps are very conversion focused, companion apps are much more feature focused. It's am I able to access information? So almost everybody is going to have their credit card or bank app on their phone, or at least they should be at this point. If they don't want to go there in person, go on the desktop every time. And so you're able to access information, manage your account, maybe do some things, some transactions, and those would count as conversions. But mainly you're there to interact. And the app plays a role of just self-service. So can I use the platform? So I even think entertainment apps fall into this category because you're not subscribing or upgrading every month. You're on Spotify. I upgraded once, probably a decade ago, and I haven't looked back. So like I'm a very high LTV customer for them. Even have a family account, and so I am interacting, and that supports me as a user. If I didn't have the app and I wasn't able to play music throughout my smart speakers or in the car, I might see the value of that brand as maybe not worth the monthly subscription. I might eventually churn. So it's a churn prevention tool for them. They want to make this experience as easy as possible for me to use their brand. So it's weird to consider a bank app and Spotify streaming app as functionally similar, but they are. And I think about those. Their mission is to drive 100% app adoption among their paying customers. An airline would fall into the same bucket, an insurance company. So once you're a paying customer, you have every reason to be interacting with the app. It's right there on your phone. It's a fingertip away versus retail where, I might only have one or two financial institutions that I interact with or one streaming music platform, but retail, I might shop at 10 different brands throughout the year. It is harder for me to justify downloading the app and registering and onboarding and creating a login. So they have a tougher hill to climb on the commerce apps. But companion apps really, I think that's where the real value is. You have so many different functions available within the app and every reason for a customer to go and interact there. And it's hugely valuable in terms of cost savings. So the cost to serve the average customer is just so much less when they can do most of it themselves in an app. So that's why I fundamentally break them into those two big categories. There's definitely sub verticals within those. And each one of them has a slightly different flavor and purpose. But that's how I break them apart. And it's just, how does the mobile app support our business? If you could wave a wand and have everyone download your app, what would change? In shopping, it just means conversion rates go up and probably more repeat purchases. in companion apps, it just means you probably have happier customers. They stick around longer, they upgrade more, and they also self-serve more. So it's actually supporting both top and bottom line. So that's how I view things, and it's very value driven, focused on the end user. What can they do better, and then how is that translating into value for the brand?
Okay, now let's look at doom and gloom of side of things. So when mobile growth goes wrong, what actually trips people up? Are there common mistakes you keep seeing?
One conversation sticks out very early on in my career in tech, and it was a comment made by a mobile team that was on the app product side, and they were running a campaign to migrate users from mobile web into the app via banners. And we saw some results, and the results were very positive. And so I was getting on this call thinking that everyone was going to high five each other, and instead they were like, "Hey, we saw these results. We've been running it for a month. Thousands of people are installing the app, and our mobile web team is just raising hell. They're so mad that we've stolen all these customers. They're seeing their conversions go down. The amount of product being sold on mobile web, we can see a dip. Meanwhile, it's spiking over on the app." And I sat there kind of dumbfounded. I'm like, wait a minute, you guys have the same stock price. Why are you arguing over where these users convert? Because they're converting much higher in the app. And arguably their top line was going up. But you had siloed teams. And so they had competing KPIs where they were measuring themselves separately, and no one was sitting there saying, wait a minute, it's okay to see this one go down as long as this one goes up. And so that fundamentally, when you have siloed teams, that is fundamentally the problem, because I have seen it over and over. When it's there, you are going to have very slow, tough adoption of all the tools that are available to you. That is fundamentally the problem, just not having a single North Star KPI, which should be just total revenue growth or customer experience. All of those things were improving, and yet they were mad about it. So I think that's the big trip up, and that prevents certain teams from keeping up with their competitors. Their competitor may not see it that way. They may have one product team for all mobile that includes app and web, and they have a singular objective, and they're measured on one KPI, not two. And that's where I see those teams really hustling and getting ahead. And those are the winners. I mean, I wish I could create a stock portfolio of people who I see doing it right versus wrong, and just tracking them through time.
It's amazing. You would think that people working in the same company, sharing time, standing to the same water cooler, should realize they're on the same team, they're in the same company.
I will say it tends to be legacy brands, and legacy brands I usually refer to as any brand business that predates the internet. They're more likely to have this because they already have these built up teams. They're big. There's a lot of inertia in size. And so it's harder for them to change their whole mentality and say, hey, they're just happy they have a digital presence rather than, or a mobile presence at all, let alone, hey, we should be app first, not mobile first versus digital first. And so smaller, younger, nimble brands move more quickly, as you would expect. But that's, if this is a singular lesson and a call out of don't have siloed teams, try to be more nimble, it's more directed at the big banks that have been around forever, the retailers that have been around 100 years. Those are the brands that struggle more with this.
And you would want to last your company for more than 100 years because it's great. Great, you want to be in that club. Now, if someone wanted a quick win, just something simple that actually works, where would you point them?
So again, I think I would cut things into two groups. So you have brands that already have a critical mass of app adoption, and then brands that are still playing catch up. And it's still less than 10% maybe of their mobile traffic is in the app. And so those two brands have different objectives. And I look at this number so many times every single week for different brands, even just using public data. Just compare app MAU to mobile web MAU, and you can quickly assess where a company is on this curve. So if you have very low app adoption and you suddenly start deep linking all of your email, which is a big effort, nothing much happens. Not many users see a difference. Only a few users are now deep linked in. And yes, that's a benefit. But if you want to move the needle, you need to do the early work of driving app adoption. So that's where smart banners come in, QR codes. How do you get people on owned channels to download your app? You already have traffic. You have in-store traffic. You have web traffic, desktop and mobile. So those are all sources of owned traffic that you can migrate into the app effectively for free. And then you have all the paid channels. You have ad campaigns to try to get people to install the app, even Apple search ads. So that's where the work needs to be done early on. Get a critical mass of app adoption. That is first and foremost. And leverage owned channels because it's so efficient and so cheap. That's where the quickest win is. Once you have that, if you're a business that has been around for a while and you do have app adoption, then it becomes, where is your number one engagement channel? Is it people searching for you? Okay, great. Deep link your SEO results. If you're not doing that, that's table stakes. This person is looking for you. And the number one search term for your brand is brand name login. Like, think about that. Every bank I've ever looked up, their number one search term is login. These are existing registered users that are going to a search engine and typing in login page for this bank. That is mind boggling. And then the result doesn't even open the app for them if they have it. That's crazy. You're just damaging the relationship. But for a lot of other brands, it'll be email. So if you're not deep linking your email, this user already has the app. You have maybe 30 or 40% of your customers have the app, and you don't deep link your email. You just land on a login page asking for your credentials again. And I know exactly who these brands are because I won't click on their emails anymore. And they'll probably see a long-term effect of reduced click-through rate on email because you're training your user not to do that by not deep linking, versus brands that do deep link. I know when I click on it, I'm going to go directly to that content. So I mentioned that I'm a professional gambler, so I have 9 different betting apps on my phone. I only know that 3 of them deep link their email. The other 6 do not. I never click on those emails. I only click on the ones from the 3 brands that do deep link. So shout out to ESPN Bet for being one of those. That's where I focus my attention. Whether you're trying to drive app adoption, look to where your owned traffic already is and migrate them. If you already have a critical mass, what is your number one CRM channel? And make sure that links users. That's how you move the needle in as little as time as possible.
Now, on the flip side, what are some of the smartest or most effective strategies you've seen lately that really impressed you?
For me, it's all about efficiency. I think I had a webinar many years ago that I gave, and I think the title was "Your Next Source of Growth is Already Your Customer." So how do you make more from what you already have? Whether it's share of wallet type idea, if we're retailers, how do we get our customers who are already coming to us to spend more, come back more often? So loyalty programs always work for that reason with fast food chains and coffee chains. But I like to think more about your user. How do you turn them into your own marketer? So sharing links is a loose term that actually refers to very different scenarios and use cases. So again, going back to Spotify, they very effectively have made their app viral. So like, I'm trying to find a song or a playlist is actually quite difficult. They have such a vast library. So any wide library, and that could be retail, it could be entertainment, any app where they have tons of content, it's hard to find things. So by adding a share link, you allow users, whether it's one-to-one, me texting or messaging a friend and saying, here's a song, here's a playlist, or here's a product to buy on this retail site, check it out, or here's a new show to watch. These are all one-to-one sharing links. But the user initiated it and they sent the link, and hopefully you are deep linking that. We can do that, obviously. And that user just goes directly to that song or that playlist and it just starts playing. It's a one-click, very seamless experience. The brand gets the attribution, they get viral growth. They didn't have to push that user. It's just a user did it because the feature was there. That is a great use case. Even more, you can then post that to social. You can say, here's a playlist. And so I've got some great screenshots of LeBron James sharing a Pandora playlist that he plays before practice or before games. I have former President Obama, sharing a playlist or a podcast that he did, and he's sharing it on social media. And that guy has millions of followers. If people click on that, it opens the app, takes them directly to that content. That is free growth, free MAU for that brand because they enabled that feature. And so whenever I look at a big platform, whether it's news media or retail, and they don't have that feature, I'm just thinking you just missed out on a few points of growth every month simply because you don't have that. And what would be the long-term effect if you advertise the fact that you have this, if you encourage users to use that, share a product, share a playlist, and we're going to give you extra points. You could even gamify it. So that is free marketing, free traffic. That is just a feature. And so think about those things. And I think the most advanced use case out of that is allowing affiliates to post links into your app and getting credit for it. So just allow your own users to do marketing for you. And that is the most efficient of the owned channels to lean into.
I love deep links. It's just it boggles my mind why people are not using them even more. Why they're not being adopted even at a higher level. Because for people, getting a value from a simple app as a calculator, I don't know, notes, you don't provide any deep links. Every piece of value for somebody is right there in the app. It's about the content for somebody, the value of Amazon will be a bunch of products they want to buy, not the app itself. So when you allow them to go directly to what they're looking for, they're getting the value directly at that point, at that moment, and they're happy. Okay, switching gears. What's been coming up more often in your conversations with clients lately? Maybe stuff that wasn't even on the radar a few years back.
Yeah, I do think there's been an evolution. I talk about companion apps and how they're very much about self-service and just allowing you to engage. What it really translates into in value is the reduced cost to serve. And that's a kind of a jargony sounding phrase, like a consulting type phrase. But it's amazing that brands are measuring this. And we have worked with brands that really have this down to a particular number. They know very much that these users who use the app and engage with the app make a certain number fewer phone calls on average per year. And that translates into, hey, $10 savings, $20 savings here or there. Even something as simple as paperless opt-in. So just imagine all the people who are still getting bank statements, paper mail from their insurance company that they just throw it right in the trash can. Well, now we add a QR code onto the envelope itself, and it says, please save trees, click here. And by clicking there, it deep links you directly into the opt-in page within the app. So it's click once, take the photo, click, and boom, you're in the app. Click again, opt in. You just saved $37 for that brand every single year going forward. So call center deflection and cost savings has really become the focus of a lot of brands. Whereas a long time ago, it was all about the shopping apps, the e-com, entertainment brands, just trying to get you to upgrade and buy more. And so I think we've gone way beyond that. So now people that are more in the ops focused world at a brand are thinking about, how do we use our app intelligently? How do we use our CRM team intelligently to train users to be more effective on our platform? And so I've seen this calculated down to a single email campaign where they were able to calculate how many phone calls they're going to divert or head off because of a single email campaign that links users to information in the app. And that's amazing. They're calculating X hundred of hours of support cost per month is no longer going to exist because of this email campaign. And then they're going down their top 10 list of, here are all the top 10 reasons why people call us and the average call duration. And you're multiplying this math out and you're thinking, wow, if only I had more than 20% app adoption, we would be saving millions and millions, if not hundreds of millions. Because some of these call centers are north of $1 billion in healthcare and in finance. So if you can deflect that ahead of time, that's immediate savings. Now we have tools that deflect it in real time. So while you're on hold, if you have called up, they're able to ask you, hey, you have to wait 7 minutes. While you're waiting, why don't you download the app? Or we're going to send you a push notification to allow you to chat, because the wait time to chat is only 1 minute instead of 27 minutes. So in real time, they're actually shifting traffic that was about to cost them money into a very low cost medium, which is chat. So, and then of course you have after the fact. So call center after the fact is this person called for a certain reason. It could have been done in the app. They didn't realize that. I'm going to send them a follow-up email that says, by the way, next time, download the app now, and you'll be able to access this information from the convenience of your home, from the palm of your hand. And so you could even include links in that. So I like to think of email almost as a forward extension of your app itself. You can have multiple buttons, and as long as they're deep linked, whenever you're interacting with an email, you're actually interacting with the app. It just takes you directly to that place. So call center deflection is hugely important right now. Just first of all, saving costs is more important than raising revenues. As much as we love to report growth, margin is way more important just from a management perspective. And call center deflection is huge for certain industries. And it was not really in the realm of being affected by mobile until just recently. And so now people are getting that. And we have all these different channels to play with and use cases to deploy that will bring costs down. And when you do that at scale for a massive company, even a 1% savings off of an annual call center could be tens, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Let's zoom out a bit. Any gut predictions about what might shift in the next couple of years? And anything farther out that feels big, even if it's a bit still sci fi?
Yeah, we are seeing some sci-fi. I think right now, I don't think we're allowed to do a podcast these days without referring to AI. So what has AI done in the most immediate sense? We're seeing search traffic drop off a cliff for certain brands. So if you're in the news and information space, AI is basically scraping you already and presenting that information to the end user without linking them to the source. So very few people will link through to check the source. So AI has already significantly disrupted search. Now, that doesn't mean that's the end of the world. There's still things we can do with that. But I do think brands trying to make more of the traffic they do receive, and we've actually heard this direct quote, our search traffic is dropping off a cliff. Now we need to make more of what we already have from our web traffic. How do we shift them over? But in the future, I think, one, we all know that ads in AI results are coming. You're going to start seeing more promoted results or listings within the AI result. And so there's going to be a bit of a land grab there for brands to try to get into that game. It's going to get monetized very quickly once the flag goes up. But then also you're going to see how do we allow AI agents to interact with our brand? So if a user, I ran an experiment with does this fast food chain deliver? And I clicked on whatever they were going to link me to, and it took me to a 404 webpage. The page was not found on their website, the brand's website. So not only did I not get what I was looking for, I was basically dropped on a dead end. So had that link actually, I did have the app, had that opened the app and dropped me on the order flow, I would have gotten exactly what I was looking for. Do they deliver? Yes. In fact, do you want to order right now? Boom, I'm there. I'm ready to go. So that would have been the ideal state. And I don't think we're too far off from it. I think brands just need to optimize their own search results and or web content to feed these AI agents so that they link to the right place. So that's an interesting thing I think is going to happen. The really forward-looking thing is enabling AI agents to actually interact with the apps themselves. So you're going to probably have user approval, set credentials, and say, next time I want to order from this brand, just go ahead and order it. This is the nearest location. I want you to go ahead and order this item and have it delivered. And it'll open the app and effectively do it for you. Whether or not it has to go through the mobile app or interact with an API, I don't know. But that will be the real future. But we're going to see the intermediate steps sooner than that. We're going to see search results that link you in, or even paid results, ads within the result that also link you in to do the thing you were looking for. You're searching for a service or a product, instead of just telling you about it, you're going to actually be able to transact on it.
Yeah, we're living through the paradigm shift for sure. People get used to seeing, 10 links, whatever. They're looking for something and they're just sifting through them by themselves. This concept is going away really fast. All right, before I let you go, how can people get in touch with you and get more information about what you do?
Yeah, come check us out. Branch.io is the website. We have a lot of content, including webinars that I've given on various verticals. So, whether you're in retail or a utility or a bank, chances are I've done a webinar on it. Try to cover all the big ones. And then directly reachable, I do have kind of an email alias, bizstrat@branch.io. So BIZSTRAT, bizstrat, business strategy, at branch.io. So you can email us at bizstrat and someone can get in touch with you.
Perfect. We're going to put those details into the description of this episode so people get in touch with you directly. Reed, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your knowledge and experience. It was great. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
And that was Reed Kuhn, Head of Business Strategy at Branch.io. To listen to more episodes, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube podcasts. Just search for Business of Ours. You will find us easily. Remember, we release episodes on Mondays, so subscribe and you'll be able to get new episodes on your smartphone, tablet, or computer as soon as we release them. And please don't forget to leave us a review or comment on iTunes. It is highly appreciated. And all episodes will also be available on businessofapps.com. Thank you for listening. See you next week.